This is Capsule on liveandlimbo.com. My name is Sean Chin.
And I am Andreas Babiolakis. This is an adventure to music, film, and pop culture.
It's been a busy few days here at Live and Limbo. We have Dakota. How are you? Dakota Arsenault.
Doing excellent.
Yes, you sound great. And you had a pretty busy weekend.
Yeah, it was pretty busy for me. I had to go to a wedding on Saturday, which was a lot of fun. But then Sunday, I was way out of my element for VELD.
Yeah, that's right. So you had a wedding and VELD, so that's pretty cool.
Which one was crazier?
It was a high school friend, so I'd go with the wedding.
Tight competition, eh?
Yeah.
Very close.
All right, so first question for you, Dakota. What is the meaning of life?
What is the meaning of life? Oh, geez. I don't know. I'll take a rain check on that.
Okay, that will be its own podcast one day. All right, so Andreas, bring us back to, I think it was Thursday. What was Thursday?
The meaning of life. No, I believe that was the 31st, right?
Yes.
That was Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds and Jack White. I signed up for both. Wanted at least one of them to accept me. Got declined by Jack White because I believe he's not doing a lot of media.
Yeah, a lot of
currently.
people got denied for Jack White because he has his own photographer, and then they just post those like an hour after the event from each city, and then all press can use that. So that's kind of interesting in a way.
Yeah, so it's nothing personal.
And they made an announcement about that. I don't know if you guys had been hearing about how Jack White is saying in interviews, hey, if you're at my show, don't take your phone out.
Yeah.
Be in the moment, watch this music. You're here to connect with the audience and connect with me. And so like some guy, one of his band members came out, gave that spiel and said, hey, keep your phones in your pockets. We're going to have a photographer. You can look at them tomorrow and download them and do whatever you wish with them.
Oh, yeah, you were there.
Yeah, I was. That was a birthday present for me from my girlfriend.
Well, that's nice.
Did your girlfriend go too?
Yeah, it was just the two of us. It was excellent, though.
And so, so that was one show. Like that was the heavyweights were in town that day. So we had Jack White and Nick Cave. We went to Nick Cave, Andreas and I. And what did you
luckily
think?
you said yes.
Yeah, Andreas, what did you think of Nick Cave?
Thus far, it's one of my favorite sets of the entire year, actually.
I have to agree because, so we were allowed the first 3 songs. And, so I'll talk about the opener first. Nicole Atkins. I didn't really know who she was. You said you knew who she was, but I thought she was excellent. The band was so great.
Yeah, she was great. And I like when you don't just have banter. I'd rather have an artist not have any banter at all if it's all staged, because then it's too forced. But I like when it's real, when you know that the person really is as cool as they try to be on stage. And Nicole Atkins and Nick Cave, obviously, are two of those kinds of people, because the way she talked with the security, said, hey, leave us alone. This is a rock and roll show. You know, like, she was a very real person. And clearly she didn't have to say that at every show she's performed at, right?
Yeah. And well, it was their last show of the tour.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And what was even crazier was that, like the Sony Center for the Performing Arts in Toronto, it's a seated venue. It's mainly for like, I would say, upper and kind of theatrical performances. So this being there in the first place was kind of interesting. But what was really intriguing was that people rushed the stage. Like people made their own mosh pit with the seats there. And I guess
on smoshing.
And then as Nick Cave came on, more and more people started aggregating around the stage. So I could only shoot the first 3 songs from the side, kind of like the side of the middle of the stage. So I got all these side shots, but then Nick Cave would just like run up onto these boxes and start interacting with the crowd. And the lighting was pretty good too.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. It wasn't like over the top or anything, but it was enough.
And then there was this one lady, like right before Nick Cave started. I guess she would be mad. She was one of the people who paid like, I don't know, like $300 for like the very front row seats. Ooh. And then you can imagine she'd get angry when all these people went in front of her, and then she started cussing out like two of these guys right there. Like everyone was looking at her. Like she was like hardcore. Andres, could you hear it? You're kind of far back.
No, I remember when we first talked about this, you were saying this person was flipping out, yelling and swearing, and I thought you meant security because I saw that happening. Where
Yeah,
like
security. So you saw security come to that area, right?
no, I saw security, like a higher up security person actually flipping out like that, a woman as well, and I thought that you were talking about her, but then you were saying Nick Cave talked to her. I was like, I don't remember that, but then you were talking with somebody in the audience, so no, this completely slipped past me entirely, except for the interaction. I just didn't know why he approached her at all.
Yeah. So wait, who approached who?
Nick Cave approached a woman in the audience.
Oh yeah, well, okay. So he started performing, and in the very first song, she was still cussing out the guy, and everyone could hear it. And then I guess I could see it in Nick Cave's face, like he's like, "What's going on over there?" So he gets on the box and he starts kind of like serenading to her, like acknowledging that she's pissed off, and he reaches out with his finger and does like that ET thing with her, and then she calms down after that. How classy is that?
And he didn't even miss a beat either. That was the most interesting part. The fact that it wasn't like, whoa, 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 hang on. There seems to be a disturbance in the audience. Or even him going into the audience and missing a line or two. You know what I mean? Like he actually didn't miss or mess up a single line. Not the entire night only, but while he was trying to calm somebody down. That's pretty impressive.
Oh yeah. You saw him do like the ET thing, right? You saw him do that?
Yeah, I saw all of that, and I saw him come back later on. He's like, "You again? Are you up to no good?" or something like that. And I thought that was just him having banter with somebody he recognized in the audience. I didn't realize it was an actual like disturbance happening there.
Yeah. So yeah, no, like overall, that was one of the funnest. How old is this guy? This guy's like 50.
57, I think.
Wow, and he was like energy packed.
Yeah, he's like Iggy Pop almost. He's crazy.
Yeah, that's a good with hair, like black hair.
And a shirt.
That's right.
Without the cuts all over his body, of course.
That was like a very fun show. I did not expect that.
Oh, you should have stayed for the whole thing if you could have. It was, oh goodness, like 2 encores for the first of all, that was awesome.
His live rendition of Jubilee Street was like more rocky than the album version.
Yeah, he changed things up a little bit, but they were still like very recognizable. It wasn't like Grimes where songs were just mismatched like to like a point of like obscurity, but you could just barely recognize what they are. Nick Cave was a bit different because you could recognize stuff, but like Into My Arms, for instance, that was played a lot slower live. Yeah, he changed a few things up.
And then the following day, oh yeah, we'll give a shout out to the Old Spaghetti Factory for dinner that day. That was pretty good.
It was good. At least the spaghetti
classic.
wasn't old. Yeah, we never been before, actually, Sean and myself.
That was pretty gangster, like the decoration in there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fun place. I used to go there a lot when I was younger.
I thought you were gonna say
parents take me.
I used to go there when I was a kid or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was
Oh.
a young spaghetti
It's a good
factory.
place to bring your family.
Oh boy.
It's pretty good. It's a little pricey, but it's a good pricey. It's like I don't feel ripped off. I just can't come here every day.
No,
So-
yeah, absolutely. And then the following day was a weird day because it was storming in Markham. It was like pouring like super heavily, like the most rain I've seen in like a few years. And then I text one of my friends that live downtown, and I'm like, "Do you think the show is going to be canceled?" And he's like, "What are you talking about? It's bright and sunny here." I'm like, "Oh, what the hell?" Okay. So at the bus station in Unionville, like I was soaked. And then when I got like there's like this on the highway there's just like this line where the rain stops. And I'm like, what the hell? And then once we got there, it was fine. You were okay, Andreas?
Yeah, I mean, I too was being bombarded by these large 10-pound raindrops, and it was crazy. And then I got downtown, and suddenly it was like I entered Kansas. I mean, I exited out of Kansas, rather. Everything was colorful, everything was fine. And I was like, this is crazy, okay. Well, as long as it doesn't interrupt the show. And even more so because it wasn't just a Molson Amphitheater like I thought it was. It was off to the left a little bit on
it was
Echo Beach.
It was Echo Beach. Was that the first time you've been there?
It is. I mean, I had no idea. I mean, I've known of Echo Beach, but I didn't know that it was actually like right there. So I went in expecting to go to Molten Epic. I was like, I was just here a few days ago for Nine Inch Nails. I mean, why are all these food trucks blocking the entrance? And then I saw, wait a second, why is there a stage there on the left? And I realized, oh goodness, okay, that's Echo Beach. So there you go.
Yeah, why did they do that? Is it cheaper than the Molson or what?
I'm not really sure. I thought it was something to do with like the setup for the expo or something.
Yeah, because like if the Molson's like right there, why wouldn't they use that?
I'm not really sure. I have no idea.
It probably just has to do with how many tickets they're expecting to sell.
Yeah, I guess so, right?
Like, because the Molson Amp is what the next biggest venue after that's the ACC. Like, it's a pretty huge space.
So what happens if they have two shows on the same night there?
I think the only time that they ever have shows at the same time is when it's like a festival.
And then don't they blur over each other? I would.
No,
think
they're far
so.
enough. They're far enough.
Yeah, I don't know. I've only been to Echo Beach once, and there wasn't anything going on at Molson Amp. I was actually there for the very first Echo Beach show 2 years ago, or whenever it was, for Robin.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, cool.
You saw Robin? That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I went on a whim with a friend who had an extra ticket, and I loved it.
Wasn't that the first show at Echo Beach?
Yes,
Yeah.
it was. Yeah.
Yeah, we covered that. Randall shot that inaugural event there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And so we had Mimicking Birds, Kevin Drew, and Modest Mouse.
Well, we had a little bit more than Kevin Drew, but we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
What did you think of Mimicking Birds, actually?
I thought they were okay, like dream popish. Nah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, just okay. It's about it. I think.
I don't really like outdoor venues because until you get to the headliner, because there's no lighting, right? It's all daylight and stuff like that.
A little bit, but sometimes it works. Like with Kevin Drew, it worked immensely because it felt like, here's our buddy, we've seen him before, or even if you haven't, like when I saw...
Kevin Drew's different because he does that like we're homie thing. So.
Yeah, that's the thing. So if you know how to cater to an outdoor show, then there's no problem with it. You don't need a lighting setup or anything. Like he doesn't need one. Even if he was headlining him by himself, he wouldn't need a lighting setup, Kevin Drew. But yeah, I mean, you've got to know how to cater to that. And some bands, it's not the fact that they can't, it's the fact that I guess they're unable to because their music doesn't really qualify for that kind of setting. So yeah, Mimicking Birds, where a lot of it's ethereal and like based on aesthetics.
I think they retweeted you, so that's good.
I believe so. And yeah, they're pretty good. I think they can do a lot better as well, but they're pretty new, so
yeah, we'll give them some time.
Yeah.
I loved Kevin Drew because he brought out good friends such as Feist and then Emily Haynes, which I missed.
Were you there? You were obviously there taking pictures of Modest Mouse, right?
Yeah, that's why I went there.
Emily Haynes was watching on the side for a little bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, her and Feist were, so you could have seen her.
Why not, right?
Well, yeah, exactly. They were sitting there. I mean, they were probably losing their minds as much as we were saying,
for
oh my
Kevin
goodness.
Drew, Feist came out in the third song, so I got to photograph her, which is great. Actually, funny thing is that Broken Social Scene played at Harborfront the first year Live in Limbo started, which was 2009. To me, that's still the most Canadian concert I've ever been to. Just felt so perfect right there in Toronto. What?
No, I said, oh goodness. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, you agree. Yeah, that's right there on Harborfront. And then Feist came out in the third song as well. And then that went up. So I think this is like the 7th article on Live in Limbo or something like that. Something like really early. And then Pitchfork, they email me and they're like, can we use one of your photos of Kevin Drew and Feist? I'm like, sure. So that one's on Pitchfork. You can go check that out if you want. Yeah. And then I missed Emily Haynes, who came on later.
Oh, well, what can you do?
4th song or 5th song?
Further down than that, I think. I actually saw Broken Social Scene with Field Trip, and yeah, I've got to say that was easily the most Canadian thing I've ever witnessed. Concert, anything, was the most Canadian thing. And I've seen Feist with Hydra, with Broken Social Scene, and
seen her a lot.
Yeah, I've seen her now. I've seen her 3 times, but never at her own show, which is kind of funny if you think about it. But
Dakota, do you like Feist and Emily Haynes?
I actually like them a lot. It's kind of funny. The Broken Social Scene people, Metric Stars, they actually all went to the same high school I did.
Oh wow.
How are
Okay.
you not BFFs with them?
Well, they graduated like close to 10 years before I did.
Oh yeah,
But
that's
they
true.
were all there. So like if you go in right when you enter the
How come
main
you're not
doors,
in a band?
because I didn't study music. I studied acting.
Oh.
But like right when you enter the main doors, there's like the wall painted with like who graduate with honors or whatever it is. And Emily Haynes' name is easily spotted. And then once Kevin Drew came and gave a lecture to our school, and he brought Feist and someone from Arts and Crafts as well. So I got to meet them afterwards.
That's pretty sweet. Metric hasn't done anything in a while.
No, they had they were they were shortlisted for the Polaris last year for Synthetica.
But nothing this year. Yeah.
Nothing this year, no, but there was only 1 year ago, and
Yeah.
now
Yep.
Emily Haynes is focusing more on the Hydra stuff.
You mean Feist?
Sorry, Feist, yeah.
Feist.
But yeah, I'm not too sure what Emily Haynes is up to then.
Oh well, we'll find out soon. And then the headliner of that night was Modest Mouse. You haven't heard much about these guys lately either, but I think
No,
they helped us avoid a storm. So
Yeah, they did, and they haven't had an album since like '09, I believe, or even earlier.
and it was still packed.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, everybody's a fan. I mean, even it's a thing when you have to question if Feist and Emily Haynes were there for Kevin Drew because he's their friend, or if they were there to see Modest Mouse, or maybe both. Yeah, everybody likes Modest Mouse. I can't think of a single person who doesn't like them.
I think the lighting was so great for that show too. And what was interesting was that he stands like Isaac Brock, the lead singer. Didn't stand in the middle of the stage like a normal lead singer. He was like off to the right of the stage.
Yeah, and he put his hat on, took it off, put it on, took it off. Did you see him explain why he did that or no?
No.
He basically was like, "You're wondering about the hat thing, hey?" And then he basically said, "You see how I get sweat in my eyes? Well, the hat prevents that, so I don't look like." I can't remember exactly what he said, but he basically said like a really messed up Popeye and started to like imitate it. It was pretty funny. This is the problem with being kicked out after 3 songs or having to go after 3 songs. The fact that you get to you miss when the artist is comfortable and talking to the crowd. Like the first 3 songs, was still nervous. A little bit, or like still try to repress. They let everything loose later on, so that's when you get to see all the silly stuff.
And I guess for the first 3 songs, and you guys can relate too, but like for the first 3 songs, you get the best seats in the house, and then you have to make a sacrifice and give it up.
Unless it's turf, but you just get the best seats.
I have no idea why
time.
that was. I don't know why they did that.
That was incredible. Either way.
Anyways, the lighting was great. As you can see in my photos, it kind of looked like stars blowing up in the background, red everywhere, orange, different colors. Good stuff there. And at the very end, the last picture I took, it looks like I thought he was trying to crack his guitar into when I was there. Like, oh, what's he doing?
I wouldn't be surprised. Do you mean Isaac Brock or?
Yeah.
I
did not look at the photos.
Me?
Yeah.
I saw some.
Okay. Well, look at the last one. He looks like he's trying to crack it. Anyways, we'll get on to another big. So there were 2 big festivals. No, actually 3. I think 3. Yeah. So one was a country festival called Boots and Hearts. Ray Williams went to cover that, and those photos are slowly going up one by one. I did Drake's annual OVO festival, or OVO, October's very own, whatever. And you, Dakota, did VELD, the EDM Dance Central thing. How was that?
You know what? I went in a little apprehensive. I only knew 2 names on the Sunday bill. I wasn't there for Saturday. On Sunday, the only people I knew were Calvin Harris, the guy who does Feel So Close and Need Your Love and a couple other like really super happy dancey stuff, and then Iggy Azalea. Outside of that,
fancy. Yeah.
Exactly. The most overplayed song in the summer by now.
that is the song of the summer, right?
Pretty much, yeah. So I went in a little nervous. I didn't know anyone on the bill. I had both my younger brothers are both like huge into EDM and this sort of stuff, and they usually go to VELD in the past, but it just got too expensive for them. So I was like, hey, who should I look up? Who's good? What's interesting? And so I got a couple recommendations, and so I tried to listen to some of them, but it still wasn't. I still wasn't totally sure what I was getting into, and you know what? It turned out to be a lot of fun. It's not the sort of thing that I would probably willingly pay and go to myself, but I will definitely admit that I enjoyed myself a lot, and I had a great time. Like, it was fun.
And so you even tweeted some pictures of yourself. You look like you were pretty sweaty there in the pit.
Yeah, it kind of early in the day. It was really overcast. I was really worried it was going to rain because I didn't bring a poncho or anything. But then it cleared up and it got really hot. And the other reason
humid.
why, yeah, and the other reason why I probably look sweaty is all throughout the day pyrotechnics were going off, and when you're in the pit and the pyrotechnics are 10 feet away from you, it gets really hot.
See, that's interesting. I have not looked at your photos to edit yet. I'm gonna do that tonight, but I've never. I don't think I've ever photographed anything with pyro in it yet.
You know, I kicked myself. I think I maybe only got one or two decent shots with fire in them, just because it was so difficult because I never knew when it was going to come. Some sets didn't have it at all. Some sets had a gratuitous amount. And it seems like that when the pyrotechnics was going off, I either was completely not in focus at all or I had the wrong lens on, so I wasn't in a position to capture it.
One day you'll go dual body.
Yes, one day. I have to save up a little bit of money for that first, but now I know why some people bring in 5 cameras, like you told me. You saw
the Toronto Sun guy. Anyways, we'll get to that. But so, how many people were in the pit for this VELD?
You know, at the start of the day, it was probably I made it there, I guess, around 12:30, 1 o'clock. By around that time, there was maybe 15 photographers in the pit. By the time Calvin Harris came up, it was probably over 50.
Wow, that's a lot.
It was huge. I heard one number tell me that there was well over 100 media people there. I'm guessing a lot of them were not photographers, that they were just there to review it, or, you know, hey, City TV's here. We've got 10 media people that are on the list, and, you know, maybe one of them is doing the job.
Wow.
Sort of thing, where, like, I'm sure the big outlets got many passes.
Wow, that's cool. So how was Iggy?
You know, shooting her was kind of insane because everyone had to be there for that because she was kind of the big draw of the night. And she had her own security team. Like the VELD security, Downsview Park security people were all fantastic. I cannot say enough how awesome they were and helpful and nice. And they were dancing as hard as the ravers. But Iggy had her own security team. And we were told we were not allowed to use any cell phones or anything like that, and they will kick us out if they see us with a cell phone. I managed to take mine out and snap a couple shots, which I sent to you.
Oh, yeah. Get out.
But it just made it that much more condensed because she was on the side stage, so the pit wasn't very big to begin with. And so we were all kind of squished in there, and they kicked us all out very quickly after only 10 minutes. And then she had an hour time slot. She only played half an hour.
Did they say why?
Nope. She ended with Fancy, walked off stage, and I've never seen a tent clear out so fast from anger.
Really?
People were not happy. Afterwards,
were they swearing or what?
You know, I couldn't really tell. A lot of people were like, hey, what's going on? When's the set starting? What's going on? Huh? And I was like, no, she played. It's done. Like, what? What's going on? And everyone just like beelined it to the main stage because another act was playing. And so once it cleared out, I went up to a security guard and we were talking. And he's like, yeah, people were going up to him, yelling at him, being like, where the F is Iggy? How come she's doing this? Blah, 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 making threats at Downsview and all this sort of thing. And because apparently on Saturday night, Walk a Flock of Flame didn't even show up.
Wow.
I'm okay with that, but I mean,
but people paid for this stuff.
No, I know. I'm being facetious.
So like he double booked himself. He played, I think it was somewhere in London, Ontario.
What the hell? And he chose that one?
And then his social team tweeted out saying that he had visa issues. So that's why he didn't show up. When he didn't. And apparently the security guard was telling me that he showed up 20 minutes after his set was supposed to end, started drinking backstage, hung out for about half an hour, then left again.
Wow. So the performers were a bit more of a mess than the actual guests at VELD on Ecstasy and all of that, I guess.
Yeah, how was the
Yeah.
crowd? How was the crowd? Skanky people?
Not a lot of clothing. It was clearly a clothing optional event.
Oh,
But
were there, like,
you know what? I didn't
straight
have
up
any
naked
problems.
people?
I saw a few topless girls.
Nice.
Things like that. But like, it wasn't. It was just like, girls wearing bathing suit tops and really really short shorts, and guys wearing just shorts, no shirts, sort of thing. Like, it was definitely a less is more kind of event.
Even when it came to the performers, apparently.
And okay, what about Harris? Calvin Harris.
His set kind of started out very like Ibiza Euro dance kind of way, where I didn't recognize it. Like, I'm familiar with like his like
Singles.
actual albums and his singles and things like that. I'm not familiar with his actual DJ work outside of that. So the first, I don't know, 20 minutes of it was like just straight up like techno house DJing sort of thing, where the fans seemed to love it, but like I didn't know it, and it wasn't as danceable as some of the earlier performers. But then like when he went into Need Your Love, the place went insane.
Did you sing?
Yes, maybe a little bit.
Did you dance?
Absolutely.
With the other photographers?
By that point, I was no longer in the pit because he only allowed 10 minutes. Everyone else got 15 minutes, and some of them, they kind of stretched us out to closer to 20. 10 minutes, we were out. He also
That's
had
funny because I never heard of that before. It's usually 3 songs, but I guess DJs like...
It's one continuous song for an hour, basically.
That's hilarious.
There you go.
So it was more about timing than actual song. So, we didn't, like, for the most part, security was pretty lenient, being like, okay, just, I know 15 is up, but 2 more minutes, then we got to go for real.
Did you find it hard to navigate around the pit to get different angles? Was everyone like nice to each other?
Everyone was pretty nice to each other. For the most part, we kind of hung out in the media area afterwards, and it wasn't too bad.
Did you mingle?
Yeah. I met some really interesting people. Unfortunately, with the music so loud, I have, and my terrible memory, I don't really remember their names or publications, but a shout out to all the really nice photographers from the media area. You were awesome to hang out with.
That's great. Yeah. That sounds, so overall VELD was good. Better than you expected?
It was a lot better than I expected. I was texting you throughout the day, racking my brain how I was going to write this review. And last night when I sat down to write it, it all just kind of poured out of me. And I'm actually really happy with the way it came out. And the shots, I think, look pretty fantastic. Hopefully you think so too. I got some really interesting stuff. It was a little hard to shoot the actual DJs on the main stage because we were so close to the stage, and then it was like a 10-foot stage, and then they were all performing on like a giant LED stage that was like another 10 feet. So it was basically a 90-degree angle that I had to shoot from.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was a little hard. So I had to basically kind of stand on the barricades.
Oh, at least you got creative there. You're learning. So
yeah. Well, like security normally doesn't like you doing that, but they didn't have a problem with us doing that. It was more of an issue of some of the fans didn't quite like that because we were blocking their view. So a couple people tried to push me off when I was standing there, which wasn't a lot of fun when you have a nice expensive camera up to your eye and you don't know what's going on. But a funny story. One girl kept trying to push me down, and I had to keep turning around, figure out who it was, and tell her to stop. And finally, some guy standing next to her realized what was happening, and he wrapped his arms around me and held me while I took pictures.
What? Who held you?
Some random guy in the crowd.
Oh.
So, like, he held me up, stopping this girl from pushing me off so I can get my shots.
Wow.
Oh, that's nice.
I've never heard of that before.
And when I was done, I tapped his arms. He let go of me. I said, thank you. He said, hey, no problem, man.
Wow. That's really good of them. I've never heard about that before.
The crowd was really nice. I spent the day talking to some people, and everyone was really chill and just wanted to have a good time and dance.
Did people ask you to take photos of them and stuff like that?
All day long. And, I sent you a bunch of really cool crowd shots. I took even more that were not even worth sending because either they weren't in focus or they just weren't that interesting. But all day, you have a camera around your neck, people want their picture taken.
Yeah. Well, I hope you sent them to Live on Limbo.
Yes, I sent you a whole bunch, and I've got at least another 700 more if you're
Oh
interested.
god, wow. Yeah, save all of that. And so what do you think about like the aftermath? Like there were some negative things about it, like deaths.
It's tough when you have a festival that big. There's always going to be things that are bound to happen.
Wait, so how many people were there again?
I don't know the exact numbers, but I imagine at least 40 to 50,000, if not more. I think it's closer to 60 even.
Wow.
Goodness.
So two people out of 60 is not that bad.
Yeah, and I know people are going to want to make a big deal about it because people feel the EDM culture is so drug infested and lurid, and people just want to, misbehave and have sex and blah 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 and do all this crazy ridiculous things. But
Which is all good too.
You're just making stupid generalizations that you can make about any genre of music. And the fact that 2 people die, that is absolutely terrible. And I'm sure every festival organizer and concert organizer never wants that to happen. No one wants that to happen. But at the same time, 2 out of 60,000.
That is 0.0004%.
Is not that high. And when I went to Bonnaroo, I think 1 person died there, which was close to 100,000.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, things are bound to happen, and it sucks, and you never want to. Sorry, you never want to hear about that. But unfortunately, it could be as simple. These kids may not have been on anything. Maybe they just didn't drink enough water that day, or maybe it was some sort of freak accident. But, trying to pin it on things and make it politicized, that's what I don't really care for. And I know the ravers and the EDMers get a bad rap, but truthfully, I have nothing but good things to say about them. It's not my scene, but power to them. They like their music. They want to dance. They want to have a good time. Let them.
I couldn't have said it any better myself. So, Dakota, I guess you're off to shoot a show tonight, right?
I am. I am off to go see the Temper Trap at the Mod Club, actually.
All right. So I guess you're going to be signing off for now, right?
I am. Thank you so much for having me, guys.
All right. See you later, man.
Problem.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Dakota, for joining us on this episode. And so I got to do OVO.
Yeah.
October's very own. This was interesting because I felt extremely out of place. It's kind of like how I felt when I first shot The Birthday Massacre. It's like one random Asian dude.
Well, that would be cool. I want to go to Birthday Massacre still. They're going to be releasing an album soon, so that might be happening. You might have to go back. I thought
you've seen them before. You're a big fan of them.
I'm a huge fan. I haven't had a chance to, sadly. But I know what you mean. What was the show that I felt the most left out at? Brad Paisley.
Oh, yeah. But you enjoyed it, right? How did you? You're a white guy. You just show up there and sit down, and you're like, oh, hey, you're one of them.
No, I'm not a country person, though. I mean, I went there kind of like with my black band T-shirt, my shoes, this and that. Everybody else had like the cowboy hat, the cowboy boots. At least they were a very accepting crowd. I mean, everybody was really nice and talkative, so it was fine.
Okay, but I was at an Outkast and Drake concert.
You can never be out of place at an Outkast show. They're for everyone.
Can I tell you something? How cool that was! Like, I wish you could have been there too, because you like both of these artists more than I do. But
I don't like Drake at all.
No, I mean Andre 3000 and Big Boy.
Oh, absolutely. Outkast are possibly my favorite rap group.
Okay, so first off, what's interesting is that it was from the photo pit. All the other photos I've seen of them, like from this reunion tour, look like they're from the soundboard. So I'm grateful for that. But like, I'm just standing there in the pit, and there's 10 other photographers. Like, these are like the biggest publications out there, like the Toronto Star and the Sun, and like the other Image Wires. But like, I knew where I was supposed to be standing for each song and like each of the key moments. But as soon as that, have you seen the photos yet?
I have. Oh yeah, you sent me the photos. Yes,
check them in the show notes. But anyways, there's this big glass cube thing draped with the American flag in black and white. Like, if you can picture that Apple store on Fifth Avenue in New York, the big glass Apple store, it was like that. And they're inside that, and the lights just explode. And then I had my wide angle lens on. Well, not wide angle. It was 24 to 70 standard range, I guess. I had that on, and I was planning to switch to the telephoto 70 to 200 in the next two songs, but they were so captivating live, I just didn't switch it. I didn't want to miss a moment of them, and then Andre 3000 even like played up to my camera a bit because I was so close to it. He like did like a kicking motion, and he got his face up right into my camera, and yeah, pretty exciting. And the crowd was really into it. The lighting was great.
Oh, it must have been a lot of fun. Sucks that they denied me, but what can you do?
What do you like about Outkast, and why was this significant?
Everything. I mean, I don't think they've had a single bad album, and it's really, really difficult to say that. I mean, even David Bowie's had one or two duds, right? And he's got like mostly classics. Outkast have been a band that I grew up on when Stankonia came out, and they were a band where I said, okay, let's see what the earlier stuff's like, and it was actually just as good. You can't really go wrong with Outkast. You can find some of their albums stronger than other ones, but you can't really go wrong with them. And this was significant because they haven't been together for quite a few years. They were on a hiatus, and they reformed, and it's pretty rare to see them live now. Like, they're only doing festivals, I think.
Yeah, they started off with Coachella, and I guess the reviews after that one were kind of dismal because I guess they were not in the zone yet. Like, they said their reunion at Coachella was not, it was kind of disappointing. And so they since then they got to do Counterpoint, Lollapalooza, Oshega, and I guess now I think they got it together, and the other publications really think they did a good job as well.
Oh, that's unfortunate. That would have been really cool to see live. Hopefully they come back, I guess, right?
But you said this might be the last time they ever performed together.
I'm not sure. That was at first. I was presuming that because as you were saying, the other publications were saying that they didn't seem interested. But now it seems like it was just because they weren't used to performing together, not because they were just disinterested. But so hopefully they do, and hopefully there's a new album. Hopefully,
do you think so though? Because they have like a creative dispute between them.
Well, that was before. I mean, with Stankonia, even on that album, you can see like a little bit of a split because some of the songs would feature one of the two more prominently than the other. And then, of course, you have Speakerbox and The Love Below, which was essentially two separate albums. One was Big Boy's 30-minute hip-hop album, and the other one was Andre 3000's R&B 70-minute extravaganza. And I think each album only had one song that guest featured the other performer. So that was essentially like a split almost, but they held it together as Outkast. And they just didn't do really anything afterwards except for Idlewild. I'm guessing that was their way of dealing with creative differences, and then they took their hiatus. And now, after having done their own solo paths, which included Big Boy's solo material, some of it's really good actually, and Andre 3000's bit of an acting stint, and a lot of guest features, especially in that Gorilla song with James Murphy. What's it called again? It's like that 50-minute song. Either way, whatever it's called, it's fantastic. It was one of my favorite songs of that year. They both still have it, and even with the new Jimi Hendrix biopic coming out with Andre 3000, I was excited for that, but I didn't expect like an Outkast reunion of any sort, even though they're both still going.
They're
and
in their
very much
prime
so.
for sure.
Yeah, they're still very much going.
They even dress totally different on stage too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean like from each other? How?
Like from each other. Dress? Like they don't wear like a uniform. Like Andre 3000 had like this blonde wig on, and with like a price tag on his black suit, and then Big Boy is all colorful and everything like that.
Yeah, of course. Well, that's kind of how they always acted. I don't think they ever.
No, but that shows you how their creative differences come to real life.
Yeah, I mean, even if you look at the Stankonia album art, you have Big Boy's got his signature overlarge t-shirt on. It's white. It doesn't have logo on it. That was kind of like the hip hop kind of style at the time. And then Andre 3000's got his 70s headband on and he's shirtless. They've always kind of been very contrasting in styles, not just audibly, but thematically as well. Well, it's good to see that they're still doing it. I guess they're still very aware that they're both very different individuals. But it's bizarre because when they actually rap, they're very similar in the way that they approach the lyrics. I mean, yeah, Big Boy's a little bit more hip hop oriented, with a lot of like the kind of typical themes you'd find in hip hop. But I mean, their flow and their rhyming schemes are very similar, I think.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And so, do you like Drake?
Not really, but I don't hate him either.
I don't. I think he's interesting because he's built this name for himself, and I guess it's true that he's like the most gangster person from Canada, right? Because what else do we have? We have like Justin Bieber. We have
oh god, don't even bring up that.
We have Kanon, and we have Nelly Furtado. Who else do we have?
You've got to give me a second. Or Chaos, isn't he Canadian?
Chaos. So out of those four, who's the most gangster?
Chaos.
And Drake?
Drake's hardly gangster. I mean, if you actually
we have Shad too. Shad.
There you go, Shad. Then
he's not gangster though.
Drake's hardly gangster though. I mean, if you actually listen to his lyrics,
the most gangster in quotes. The most gangster out of all Canadians.
No. Like his lyrics have nothing to do with gangster culture at all. I think.
I know, but he is the most gangster.
I don't know about that. I'm gonna have to get back to you, but I still
people have been making fun of him because he's soft.
Yeah, like Drake's the kind of person who does this and that. Yeah, I've heard that before.
Dakota was like, there was like a joke where he won't sleep with a girl until he dates them like 3 times or something.
Yeah, that sounds like a Drake joke, actually.
And then the Americans make fun of him. P. Diddy's like, ha 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 ha.
Drake's the kind of person who won't download a file unless he's in incognito mode or something like that. I don't know. That was a failed attempt. I tried. Anyways, no, I'm not anti-Drake or anything. I like maybe 2 or 3 of his songs. I'm just not a big fan at all.
What's your favorite Drake song?
Goodness, I can't remember the exact name. I think it's called Up All Night. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
I think so. I've given his albums a chance. I really, really have. I just find most of them incredibly boring.
Oh, okay. That's unfortunate. Well, because his performance, photography-wise, was the exact 180 opposite of Outkast the night before. So for Drake, we could shoot only 3 songs from the soundboard, which is not bad. Like, I was expecting that to begin with at the Molson and for OVO.
Yep.
But there was no fancy lighting in the first 3 songs. There was no front light, and there was smoke everywhere. So I was like, what the hell? And then all the other photographers from the newspaper, they're all looking at each other like, this is a waste of time.
Yeah.
It was pretty disappointing. I think I pulled off some good shots, though. Usable shots.
Yeah,
I would have liked to see more lighting, though.
Yeah, sometimes you've got to work.
It's supposed to be a party, right? This is his party. Where's the explosions and stuff?
Drake's the kind of person to not party, evidently.
So he's soft. That's what he...
Well, we just confirmed that, didn't we?
Yeah. And then so his special guests in the past included the likes of Eminem, Kanye West, Stevie Wonder,
right,
Lil Wayne. This year, he had, what's her name again?
Ooh, that's not good.
No, damn it.
Well, to explain Eminem while you're thinking, Eminem's not even allowed into Canada, if I'm correct. So I don't think we'll ever get Eminem, sadly.
He had Usher. Usher came.
Oh, God, what a disservice.
And then he had 50 Cent and G-Unit.
Okay, then. He's clearly...
he's trying to be gangster.
Clearly limiting his options there. Okay.
You wouldn't consider them special guests? They're kind of big.
Well, maybe to that audience, yes, but to me specifically, no. I mean, I think the biggest guest you've mentioned is obviously Stevie Wonder, 100%. And if we could even get Eminem, he'd be a pretty big guest as well.
Kanye West.
Oh yeah, you did mention Kanye West. Yeah, that as well. I forgot you mentioned him. But actually, Drake's a big fan of Kanye West, if I believe. I think his goal was actually to be on par, if not better than Kanye West. I think that's why he became a rapper.
Wow.
I believe so. So that would actually be a really great pairing because they have a mutual respect for one another, I believe.
Does Kanye respect him?
I believe so. Otherwise, why would he agree to perform with him?
Yeah, that's true.
And they did that LeBron James song, that Forever song, right?
That's a great song.
Some of it is.
Yeah.
Some of it is. I don't know. You thought he was okay live then, or?
He was charismatic, like he himself, like not the lighting or the production stuff, but he himself was. He brought his mom onto stage, which was sweet. I guess that was a special guest too.
Yeah, no, that's a special guest.
But you could just see how much the fans loved him.
That's the thing,
it was at least twice as packed as Outkast the night before.
Wow, that's a surprise. Actually, I'm not even being sarcastic at all. That's the thing about Drake, though. Like I said, I'm not a big fan at all. Like, I actually can't stand some of his stuff, but I won't really rip on the guy because I don't really have a reason to. He seems like a nice person.
Yeah, he's a jolly good fellow.
He is. He's got that typical gripe that everyone has with him. You didn't really start from the bottom, this and that, but at the same time, not everything lyrically should be ever taken at face value. That's what I've come to learn. But regardless, I've never really had like a gripe with him. I just don't really like a lot of his songs.
Yeah. No, that's fine. That's fair enough.
Yeah. So I was just wondering if he was actually good live because it could be entirely
he was
different
fine.
thing.
Like he sounded okay. He was fine.
Oh, that's good then.
The crowd loves him. All that stuff is good.
Yeah.
I just felt really out of place. I think that might have been the first rap show I've ever shot, if I think about it.
Oh yeah, you weren't there for Run the Jewels and Juicy J.
Nope. No, I was not. That would have counted. I photographed Shad a long time ago. I don't think that really counts though.
Shad's pretty good. Like, yeah, well, no, it doesn't because it's not like an entire.
This was like gangster
show.
rap thing,
Yeah.
Like people outside were like high before the show started.
I think that's every show.
Yeah, I know, but
that's virtually every single show. Even at Nick Cave, there were people inside the Sony Center lighting up, and I could see them too. I'm like, how are you getting away with this? All right, the security really doesn't care here, I guess.
The security was probably like really pissed off at the Sony Center. They're not used to that kind of crowd.
No,
they want people to come dressed up, right?
Well, you could for Nick Cave, I believe.
No, I mean like the shows that they have at the Sony Center.
I know, but
they're like formal stuff.
I know. Well, yeah, because it's got like a lot of ballet and performance art. I was just trying to think of in that context, like would they actually care? And yeah, you could dress up for Nick Cave and who else is performing? Lana Del Rey? I guess you could. You're not going to be seeing Slipknot or anything at the Sony Center anytime
That would be
soon.
funny if they did that.
Yeah, that'd be really good.
It was kind of like when Arcade Fire performed at Massey Hall. They did the same thing. The fans like made their own mosh pit.
Oh goodness!
I was there. I was part of that. I was in the front row. I made the mosh pit.
You started it. You were like, "All right, if there's one thing we need in a Baroque pop concert, it's to be rowdy."
This is interesting because this was 2007,
yeah,
and then I kind of knew because I was like lurking the forums and message board and everything for that tour. It was a Neon Bible tour.
Yeah,
and I knew that Win was going to ask everyone to come up to the front. So I'm just sitting there at the edge of. I had an aisle seat. I'm just sitting there. I know he's going to ask us. As soon as I see him raise his hand up, I just dart for the front of the stage. I was like right in the front there.
He might be the most gangster person in Canada. That guy,
Win Butler.
Yeah, I mean, he won a 3-point. There we go, a 3-point competition against an actual NBA player. So that's pretty gangster.
There you have it. Win Butler is the most gangster person from Canada.
Yeah, it's got to be him or Celine Dion.
Oh wow, Celine Dion too.
Oh yeah, I mean, she's a really significant figure in the Crips gang, I believe. No, I've got nothing. I'm still trying to think though. But for now, it's Win Butler.
You can find the links to all the shows that we talked about in this episode on liveandlimbo.com, of course, and in the show notes of this podcast. And where can our listeners find you, Andreas?
If you're a member of the Crips, please don't follow me because that would be scary. But everyone else, and excluding the Bloods as well, everyone else can find me at Andreas Babs on Twitter.
You can find myself at Sean Chin, and you can follow the show at Live in Limbo and use the hashtag Capsule Podcast to join in on the conversation. Please subscribe to this show on iTunes. And of course, you can find the show notes at liveandlimbo.com/capsule. Take care.
Have a good one.